everybody, Tracy Jo Kalen here with Kalen's Crafting Studio, and it has been a while since I've posted a video. I've had a bit of a crazy summer so far. We're in, gosh, almost August, end of July, and I've gone to lots of concerts and hosted some parties and traveled a little bit. I was off in Ireland not too long ago, so I thought I really needed to get a video up. So I thought, what would be a fun idea? And I wanted to do a full design video to show you guys how to lay out a card in Cricut Design Space, and I use the new Design Space 3. So I'm going to show you guys how to do an easel card. So there's a couple different types of easel cards. There's a twisted easel card, which looks like this one here. So you get it and it lays flat like this, and then you twist it up and it kind of sits behind this little tab. Use something to raise it, little pop dots to raise it. And I find that a lot of people, when I give them these cards, they don't really understand what you're supposed to do with it, so I have to be there to kind of show them. But in any event, so that's the twisted. So then I also have the straight easel card. So this one I just laid out from scratch, because I always like to work in Design Space and practice to build things myself. So even if I see a file from somebody else, I'll try to recreate it just to get lots of practice in Design Space. So this is this card here. So it's a little happy birthday card. Plus I put a 3D flower on it, and I'm going to show you how to build that, and use this Cricut Pearl paper that I love. And so there's that one, and then I have this one too. So a lot of it is just picking out your colored paper that makes it so pretty, and all the different little embellishments that you use. So these are birthday ones. You can really put anything on the sentiment that you want. I like to have lots of birthday cards on hand. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. So I'd also like to throw out there to everybody that subscribed to me and watches my videos, and thank you for that. If you have anything specific that you would like to see or learn how to do, please leave me a note in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to, try to come up with a video for that. I definitely want to give you guys what it is that you want to see. So with having said that, let's get started. Okay, so we're working in Design Space 3. And first you're going to go ahead and you're going to insert a square from the Shapes tab. Okay, then I'm going to take that square. I'm going to change it to white. I prefer to work with it in white because I can see my score lines better. And I'm going to change the dimensions of this to 11 inches wide. Oh, I have to unlock my proportions. And 5.5 tall. So 11 by 5.5 is going to be the card base. So now I'm going to go back to my shapes, and I'm going to insert a score line. And I'm going to take this line, and I'm going to make this line also 5.5 inches tall. And then I'm going to grab both. Now I use my shift key and just click on both, or if you like, you can just grab them like this, and that will grab both. And you're going to hit a line, and then you're going to hit center, and that's going to center the two pieces, because you want your score down exactly down the middle. So it's going to give you a 5.5 inch square base for both the front and the back. I should say the top and the bottom. But now before I attach that so it scores on the base, I'm going to duplicate the score line, because we're going to need two of those, because we're also going to need to fold the top part in half over here. So I'm going to set that aside for a second. I'm going to grab this and this again, and this time I'm going to attach it. Okay, so that attaches it. Now I'm going to use my measurements in the top, because I want my other score line to be at 2 inches 275. So I have to bring it up, or 2 3/4, excuse me, 2.75. So I'm going to move it to the front so I can see it. And this one I'm just going to eyeball it right up top there at 2.75, and you can see that it's pretty good as far as equal parts of that square. So if you want to make sure it's aligned exactly, you can click on it and click on the base, and then you can align top, and that'll line it up to the top. And then you can also go ahead and hit attach. So now your base is done. So now we're going to insert some of the pretty layers. So the easiest way to do this is take another square, and you're going to, we'll leave this one gray for right now. This I'm going to make it a 1/2 inch smaller than the 5.5. So we're going to do 5 by 5. Now you don't have to unlock the proportions on this because it's going to keep it square. Okay, and now I'm going to duplicate it again. This time I'll make this one a different color. I don't know, we'll make this one purple for now. And this one I'm going to change the size to 4.5 by 4.5. And again, you don't have to unlock the proportions because it'll make it square for you. Oop, that one didn't take, sorry. Let's try again, 4.5. There we go. So now you can see it's going to be, each one is going to be a 1/2 inch. So you can click on both of those to center it. I don't want the one in the back, so let's just move. Oops, I grabbed everything there. So we're going to pull this over here, this down here, put this up here, and grab both of these, and then I'm going to hit Align Center, and that'll center it for me. And you can group those. We're going to need 2 sets of these. All right. What happened to my, this card base changed size. I don't know how that happened, so let's put it back to 11 by 5.5. Okay, there we go. I don't know, somehow I must have dragged it and made it a little smaller, but now you can see how that will fit on there just right. So we're going to need 2 of these because you're going to need one to put on the top and one to put on the bottom. So I'm just going to duplicate it. Plain and simple, there we go. Now we have 2 pieces. So that's the basic card. Now we want to make the little tag that the easel will lean against when you have it standing. So what I did was I just went into images and I searched for rounded rectangle. So I just type in rounded rectangle. Click on the search button and you'll get all kinds of different stuff in here, and we'll just kind of scroll through. I want to find one that's included in my Access subscription. I like the rounded edges on this. This one's pretty rounded, and as you can see, it's part of Access, so I'm going to insert that one. And we'll leave it red for right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. You can go up in the little panel and type in 90, and that's going to flip it for me, or you can do it manually by clicking on this little circle arrow, circle arrow. But I'm going to mess with the proportion sizes on this. So I'm going to unclick this and I'm going to kind of just size it down. I usually eyeball. I don't measure a whole lot. So that looks to be about right. So now what I want to do is I need to duplicate this 2 more times because I'm going to have 3 of them. And we'll change each one to a different color. So we're going to do one white. I'm going to use one in the gray because I want it to cut in the same as the background. So I'll just use that gray. And the purple one, I think I am going to use maybe a different color. Let's go with green. I'll make that one green. So now I need to size each one to fit so they're nested. So what you do is I'm just going to put one on top of the other one, size it down a little bit, kind of eyeball it. Again, you can unlock the proportions if you have to. We're going to put this one, make it a little smaller. Oop, I'm going to bring that to the front, arrange, move to front. There we go, now we can see it. And I'm just going to bring this down a little bit there. Now that green's a little hard for me to see against the gray, so I'm going to change that green to a lighter color green so we can see it a little bit better against the gray. There we go. And alright, so let's go ahead and grab all of them and center them, align, center, and see how the proportions look. That's pretty good. I think we could make the 2 inside ones a little bit longer. So I'm going to unlock those, grab them both. I think I have them both. Yep, there we go. I'm going to go a little skinnier and a little bit longer, and then I'm going to center them again. And I think that looks pretty good. So now we're going to grab them. I'm going to group them so I keep them together, and I'm going to drop them over here. for placement and see how that looks. And I think that's going to work pretty well. Okay, now if you want to write a sentiment or something on the top one, let's add some text, and we'll just go with plain old happy birthday. Alrighty, now I want this to be, I'm going to write on this. I don't want to cut the letter, so I'm going to change the writing style to writing. I'm just going to leave it with that particular Cricut font. I think that's fine. Actually, let's add a, let me move it over here. I was going to add an exclamation point to the end, but let's bring it down so we can fit it in that box. I'm going to make the screen a little bit larger so we can see. There we go. Let's just add an exclamation on the end. And I think that looks pretty good. We could center that as well if you just want to grab, well, I'm going to ungroup for now, and I'm going to go over and bring my happy birthday, my text to the front. Arrange, move to front. And we're going to grab both the white box and the happy birthday, and let's center that. There we go. And while I have them both grabbed, I'm just going to go ahead and attach one. So that will ensure that that writes on there. Now you can change your colors. I just usually leave the black midnight. It doesn't really matter unless you want to really see what it looks like and pick a color. Let's see, we'll just go with sour apple for now, because that's actually the color of the writing in my sample that I have cut. So that's done. So let's make it a little bit smaller. Okay, and you want to make sure you save your project along the way in case anything happens to your computer. I already have this saved, so I don't need to do that, but at this point in time, I would suggest going in, naming your project, and saving it. I like to do that along the way just in case my power goes out or something crazy happens with Design Space and I lose all of my work. That can be very frustrating, and I think that's probably happened to all of us at one time or another. So let's just go down a little bit smaller. Now, you can put anything you want on the front of this. This would be the front here. This is going to be the bottom part, and it's actually going to face the other way when it's put together. So you could actually rotate this again. Did I group all those together? Let's see. Let's see, moving this out of the way. We'll group this back together so it can travel together. Yep, that's good. This is already grouped. We're going to rotate this 90 degrees just so you can really kind of see how it would sit on the page. 90. Gosh, what is going on here? 90, enter. There we go. Now I want it to go 180. My math is terrible today. Let's just do this. There we go. That's the direction I wanted it to go. So when you put your base back here and it's folded, that's actually the side that it's going to sit on. And then this is your top. So you can add anything you want on the front of this. You could add like another big round tag that says something on it. You could do a picture, a graphic. I love the 3D flowers on the front of these. So I'm going to show you how to add that just for the cutting purposes. I like the Gerber Daisy. So I'm just going to go up in here and I'm going to type Daisy. Hit search. Okay, I'm going to scroll down, and this is the one that I use. This one is the Gerber Daisy and the Floral Home Decor. So it is 3D, but it's pretty easy to put together, and I'll show you that shortly. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to insert it. Now size-wise, I just kind of eyeball it. These three pieces are all the same size, so you really just kind of want to get an idea for one of them. And we're going to be putting that over on this here. And I'm going to put some ribbon and some little embellishments on it. So let's just go with about that size. That's probably pretty good. So the measurements are 7.339 and 5.845. You could make it certainly a much more even number, maybe. I don't know what happened. Let's try 7.5. There we go. And that makes it a little easier. You can just add 7.5 in there. And that's probably a pretty good size. So now we'll put that aside. And I'm going to show you guys how to make an envelope. So there's plenty of envelopes that are included in Cricut Access. However, a lot of them, if you cut them to fit this card, you're going to have to go to the 12 by 24 size mat with 12 by 24 size paper. So I kind of have a little trick that I use to cut it down and make it a two-piece envelope, and that way I can get it all on one piece of paper. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select images again, and I'm going to put envelope. Oops. I'm going to hit search. A lot of times I use these filter buttons too here, just to make sure that I'm only looking at stuff that is included in Cricut Access or things that I've purchased and owned. So you can hit that. You can also hit purchased. Sometimes I actually just go through and click on all of these. I don't think I've uploaded any, but we'll just, for the heck of it, we'll click all of them. It's running a little slow this evening. Okay, so that gives us pretty much everything except for anything that I don't own or would have to pay for. So I'm going to browse through all of the different types of envelopes here and see if I can find the one that I created. Okay. Let me see. Like this one could be used, so we'll put that one in. Oh, this is the one actually that I use, this one right here, and it's already two pieces, so I'm going to show you how we can make that work for this particular card. So we're going to insert this. Okay, so it's going to have to be much larger. So to start, what we're going to do is I'm going to ungroup these and we're going to pull this off. Now what we're going to need to do is take the base of the card itself, we're going to bring it to the front, arrange, move to front, and we're going to need to make sure that the 5.5 by 5.5 inch section fits inside there. Okay, now I like it to be a little bit more square, so I'm going to go ahead and unlock the proportions, and I'm going to bring this over and just make it a little bigger so we have plenty of room. And you can kind of see behind that this score line fits within there, this fits, and I think that what should fit pretty good inside this envelope. So we'll move this back over, we're going to move it back to the back, send that back up there. But what if you notice, if I hit make it and it goes to all of the mats, you're going to see down here that it wants to cut on a, so you can even see it says at least one of your images is larger than an 11.5. So we don't want that. So I'm going to cancel this. And we're going to use this piece, which I'll size later, but what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the end of this because we're going to use this part as the end that folds over. So I'm going to just roll down here a little bit more. I'm going to insert a square. Oops, I didn't mean to say image. Cancel. Okay, I'm going to insert a shape. I'm going to go back to a square. First, I'm going to detach this because I'm going to add my own scores, because this has a square score here, but we're not going to use that because we're going to cut one of them off and we're not going to need it. So I am going to first detach. So it takes those score lines out of there. Now you can see that's a separate image. And over here, I'm going to take that score and I'm going to hit my delete key and just get rid of those. Okay, and I added a square here. I'm going to move it to the front, arrange, move to front, and we're going to cut off that flap. Unlock my proportions, and I'm going to line it up right there with that edge as close as possible. If you need to blow it up to see it better, that's fine. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to slice them. So now we have this piece we don't need, we have this piece we don't need, and we have this piece we don't need. So that has squared off the top of it, okay? Now this piece here, well, let's add our score lines back in. So now we want to go in and we're going to, actually before I do that, one thing I like to do is I like to put a little circle right here, so when you're pulling the card out, you can grab it a little bit easier with your fingers. So we're going to add another little circle. Cut out, and I'm gonna slice a piece of that out, and I just kind of eyeball it. Doesn't have to be perfect. I try to get it centered. I think I'll grab it and I'll say align. I think, is it center horizontal? Nope, that's not it. Sorry, we're gonna center vertical. Align center vertical. Wow, I did a pretty good job with eyeballing that. So now we're going to slice it. Didn't even move. And we're going to cut that out, and we're going to cut that out, and we're going to cut that out. So now you've got a nice little finger when it's folded up, a finger place where you can pull the card out. Because sometimes cards are a little difficult to get out of the envelopes, especially if it's a tight fit. So now that we have that, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add my score lines. So I'm going to go to shapes, and I'm going to go to score line. Puts it all the way up here. Oops. Where are you, Mr. Score Line? I think you're right there. There you are. Grab it, bring it down here. We're going to put one right here. And I am going to make it the length of, move it up a little bit so it's right on the corner there. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this 2 more times. And these I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. This one you're going to put up here for the flap. You're going to kind of line it up there, right? Looks pretty good. Make it a little bit longer. Okay. This one we're going to rotate this one 90 degrees. Oops, not 900. Oh, 98. Okay. And we're going to put this one down here. There we go. So now we need to attach each one of those to the envelope. So we're going to hit attach. You have to do them on one at a time, because with Cricut you can only attach 2 things at once. So each time I'm going to have to move it to the back so I can see the other score lines. Grab them both, hit attach, arrange, move to back, and we'll see the last score line. That, grab it with the base and attach it. So now we have all 3 score lines attached. So you'll have your side envelopes for the flap, and then the flap that will flip up. Now this piece doesn't necessarily need to be this long. I choose to cut it. So again, I'm going to slice it. What we want to do is first, before we slice it, we want to make sure it fits properly, because I did size this. So I'm going to arrange it, move it to the front. And this is what's going to be our flap. Now I'm going to give it some extra room here because I want to put a piece of ribbon there. Actually, the sizing looks pretty good. I'm going to bring it up a little bit bigger just so I can make sure I can see it in there. Let's just make sure it's definitely pretty close because you want to make sure it's going to fit in there properly. So you want to line it up with your 2 scores, bring it down just a hair. Make sure you don't go too much because then it's not going to fit in there right. Let's actually take it back down just a little bit. That looks pretty good. So I'm leaving some extra room here too. And now I'm going to add one more score line because we want this top flap to fold down. So we're going to add another score line. Put it up here again. We're going to bring that down. And this you're going to line up with the end of... Here, I'm just turning my phone off because it keeps dinging at us. And I'm going to bring it down here. Take a look at it. Oops. It looks pretty good. So now I'm going to grab that score line. Let's do it this way. No, we don't want the whole thing. I think I have them both. I do, and I'm going to hit attach. So that's going to fold down. Now this score line up here is a little long, but it doesn't matter because it'll just run off the edge of the paper. You can see it. You'll see that the pink mat now is on a standard 12 by 12 and it'll fit, and then the inside flap is right here. I generally use a coordinating color for the inside flap on whatever I used in the card. So we're going to go back before I cut this, and I'm going to use my color sync panel here because I really don't want this in pink. I want it to cut in white actually, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that up and drop it up on the white. Oops, let me hit undo. I guess I dropped it on the wrong color there. Pull it up and go up to the white. There we go. So let's change that to white. And the inside flap, I'm going to use a pattern paper, which is in the gray, so I want to put that up here with this gray. So now we have all of our colors kind of synced together. I'm going to cut all the pieces, and I'll be back in a minute to show you how to assemble it. Okay, I've got all my pieces together here. Everything's cut, plus I have lots of little fun embellishment things. So I'm going to use a couple different types of glue. I'm going to use my Scotch Tacky glue to assemble the flower. I'm going to use my advanced tape lighter for a lot of it, and I might use some glue dots, so I have those out. So first we're going to put together the base. Okay, so I've already kind of started to fold this. So you have a score here and a score here. So I fold it in half this way first, and then you can take the other piece and you can fold it in half like this. So then this is what is going to be your easel, okay? Then we have 2 sets of these pieces. So first I'm gonna go ahead and glue those together using my gun. And I'm just gonna center that right in the center here. This was a pretty little paper that I found, by the way. It was part of this particular paper pad, DCWV, the dot stripes and plaids. This is a great, very useful, and it has lots of pretty bright colors. It's great for birthday stuff. I just love it. The houndstooth is awesome, some of the plaids and dots, and it's got some glitter in it, which is great. Gives it a little bit of shimmer, so I love that particular paper pad. So that's what this one came from. And I'll go ahead and glue this one because we have 2 of them. I also use Cricut Pearl paper to make the flower. I love Cricut's Pearl paper. It's super shimmery, and it's very easy to work with when you're assembling 3D flowers. So this one again, I'm going to center it like that. Okay. Now we're going to put one on the bottom of the base. Center it the best you can and lay that down. And then we're going to attach the other one to here. So the best way to do this is to run your tape across this little flat piece. Oops. And you can lay it flat if you'd like, and that way you can make sure you get it centered on there nicely. Like that, but it's only going to stick on the bottom part. So when you flip it up, it's going to sit like that. Okay? You can then put these 3 pieces together here, which is going to be the little sort of holder that's going to hold it in place when it's flipped up. So you can go ahead and put your tape on the back of that. That on there. Here's the one that says happy birthday on it, that I had it right. So clip on the back of that. And this I'm going to use a little pop dot so it stands up, which I knew there was going to be something that I was going to forget to get out for my supplies, but here we go. I'm going to use a couple little pop dots for this. I'll flip it over. Just drop a couple of those on there. There we go. Pull off tape. And you just kind of place it wherever you think it looks best. Kind of get it straight on there. There we go. Okay. Now, another thing that you can do, and it depends on your preference and if you want to use the paper. In this one, I actually cut another piece of background cardstock, so there's actually another piece that goes up around this, so you don't see this little edge, but I just felt like saving some paper and I didn't add that one. But if you wanted to have another one, then you would just cut one more piece that's 5.5 square. So it would be 5.5, 5, and then 4.5. So you can do that if you like. If you don't really care and you want to save some paper, it's not really necessary, because when you lay it flat, it still picks up the edge. So, and then it just looks like that. Okay, so that's the base of the card. And now we're going to decorate the front. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside for now, and I'm going to go ahead and put, oh, you know what, one thing I forgot to do. I'm going to put a little bit of a piece of ribbon down on the bottom here, and technically before I had put that on, I probably should have added it. So I'm going to add some glue on the back of this little piece of ribbon. And then I'm going to drop it on here like this. That looks pretty good. And sometimes you can still kind of get it up. If I have to shorten the ends there, which is not a big deal, and just sort of tuck it back under. And then we can just add a little extra glue to glue that back down. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just pull it up a little bit. Oops. But I should have put that ribbon on before I actually glued it down between these two pieces. So there we go. Not a big deal. I was able to pop it up and get it on there. It's a nice, pretty, shimmery ribbon. And then I'm going to add a little bow and some other embellishments on it afterwards, but we'll do that after I get the flower on. So to make your flower, you have several different little pieces here, okay? And I'm going to put one of these in the center. So what I like to do is take a little piece of paper, just put a tiny bit of the tacky glue on my paper, and then I just sort of dip my finger in it. I always have some Cottonelle wet wipes nearby, but hot glue is probably too strong for this. This is the Cricut Pearl paper. As you can see, it has a little bit of shimmer to it. It might be kind of hard to see on here, but it works really nicely because we're going to curl the edges. And there's this little tiny tab right here, and we're just going to put a tiny bit of glue. If you wanted, you could use a toothpick or something, because you don't need too much of it. And I just kind of wipe, and you just want to hold it there. Oops. For a second. This Scotch brand tacky glue I like. It's quick drying and it works pretty good for this type of paper. So we're going to do that to all 6 of these pieces. There's 3 large ones and 3 small ones. You can do all of those. Just hold it for a second. Let's see. Okay, I still have my 4th of July nail polish on that I haven't changed yet, even though it's after the holiday. Let's see here. I'll put another one on. Hold it. These really are very simple and versatile cards, and they just have such a nice pop, and I really just, you can do so much with just embellishing them that really make them very fancy and special. I gave one recently to a friend and she just was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And I'm thinking it really wasn't that hard to make, little do they know, you know. But I mean, I guess the longer you've been doing it, the easier it becomes, and you enjoy it so much you don't realize how much time you've sat and spent in your craft room. So I don't think anybody except for fellow card makers and people that craft in Cricut can really appreciate the time spent doing this, but we do it because we love it, right? So we're just gluing all of these pieces together like this. And the last one. Hold that one. There we go. So you can kind of see they're all sort of curled up. So now we're going to glue them together inside one another. So I just take a little bit of the glue here, or you could just take it off of here too if you wanted to. If you still have some left. And you want to stagger your petals so you kind of fit them in between one another. Okay, just like that. This one I still have some glue, so I'm going to use the rest of this glue. I know some people have the little fine tip glue bottles, but I find they just clog so bad. So no matter what I do, I have the kind that have pins in them, and they just never seem to want to work. So okay, so we're going to leave those 3 to dry for a second. Now we're going to do the 3 small ones. Again, you want to stagger your petals if you can. Sometimes it's small, a little tough to work with. Them together. There's probably enough glue in there. I can just drop the other one right on top. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the center of this. Oh, that was a lot of glue. Probably don't need that much. Just add a little back down here. I'm going to glue that in the center like that. Hold it down for a little bit. Okay, and then we've got our little center piece. So we got a little bit of glue there. And I'm going to just drop that down in the center. Oops. There we go. And hold it. Now, what I like to do is just take some type of round tool. You can use your score stylus, whatever you want. And I start to just kind of roll these out because we want to give them some dimension. I like them to be flat, or you can just use your fingers or a pencil or whatever you like. But this paper is pretty nice and flexible, and it curls pretty easily. Just kind of get the way you want it, and then you can take the center pieces, and I just take another little tool here, and I just sort of bend the center ones up, kind of holding it. Just make sure your glue's in place, and this really just gives it a lot of added dimension. Now, if you're mailing this, you might have a problem in the mail because it's going to flatten it out when you put it in the envelope. But if you're just going to give it to somebody and not have to send it through the mail, you can really kind of play with it. There we go. Look at that pretty little flower, and you can kind of see it's got some great dimension. If you really want to bend some of the petals up, you can also work with it once you get it on there. Okay, so now we've got the two leaves behind it, okay? And then here again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. There's one of them that has a tab. Just, you don't need too much. Just put that on there. And you're just going to kind of fold it over like that. And this again, you can curl up once it dries, but just hold that nice and firm until you think your paper's dry enough. You can set it down. Now, what I like to do with these is I love this Cricut gel tip 0.8 glitter gold. I haven't really used it in the machine much, but I actually use it to decorate flower petals. So I just kind of go around the edges here a little bit. Just gives it just a little pop of glitter and sparkle. You could chalk it, you could ink it, you could do whatever you want. And I just kind of draw some tiny, tiny, tiny little veins and stuff. So just gives it that little extra pop of glitter, okay? So it's subtle, it's not super, super dark, but it just shimmers just enough. So I really love this little pen. Although when I've tried to write with it on paper, it hasn't worked so well. So again, I'll just put a couple little veins, and that just gives us that. And you can curl this up a little bit, so when we put it on the paper, it'll be curled. So there we go. So there's our flower all assembled. So now we can put it on the front of our card. I'm also going to take one of these. I love these. I got these from Michael's, I think. These little, they're perfect for the center of flowers. These little yellow plastic, they're not really gems because they're solid color, but they work really well for the center of a flower. And or you could use a yellow blingy gem or something if you wanted to. So here we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this on here. So it's going to kind of go somewhere in there just like that. This I think I'm going to use a glue dot. Make life a little bit easier, but first we kind of want to figure out, I'll drop that on the back for a second. I want to figure out where I want to put my oops, my glue dot wants to stick to my fingers. Oh my goodness, now I ripped the paper. Okay, that's going to stick, so we're good. These I'm just going to kind of place, I don't know, probably kind of like that, and then I'll just put the flower on top of them. So for these, I'll just put a little bit of tape on the back. The back of that one. You could use a smaller gun for sure. One of the little tape runners. Kind of like that will be good. And then I'll drop this on here too. There we go. Now for, oh gosh, look how cute and pretty that is coming along. It's just so simple. It's not anything super, super hard to do. But they just are so elegant. So I made a little bow out of some other ribbon that I have, and I'm going to put that down here. Then I have these little metal studs. I'm just going to rip off a strip of these. I don't know, not too many. Maybe half of the strip. They have some adhesive on them already. Let's see. I'm just going to put this on here. I chose silver because there was the little bit of glimmer in the dotted paper that I used. There we go. So that's kind of pretty on there. And then I'm just going to use a half a glue dot, and I'm going to put this little bow on here. And this usually sticks them nicely for me. I'm just going to drop that down under there. There we go. How pretty is that little card? All done with that glue, and then we just have to assemble the envelope. Can you see it? Just a very simple little card. If you wanted to write a sentiment on the back, I'm going to stamp my stamp on the back here in a second. So now we're just going to assemble the envelope. So what I'm going to do with this is with two pieces. So I already kind of had pre-scored it. So the sides fold in, this folds down. There's the little area that I told you that I leave, so it's easier to pull out the paper. Okay, and this is the inner piece. So you could do this two ways. You could line it this way and have the back showing, but I think I'm going to do it the other way. So when I glue it in and this folds down, it'll look like that and it'll match the card pretty. But before I do that, I'm just going to put a little piece of fun ribbon, kind of to tie it all in together, and I'm going to run this ribbon around here. So first let me add some glue to this. I'm going to do it on the all the way completely around it. So we're going to start it here on the edge. Whoops, no, I'm sorry, not there. Here on the edge. So you'll be able to see it and just kind of follow the score. Okay. And then you can just kind of flip it around the corner. I cut it just a little long, and then I'll just trim it right here. There we go. Stuck to my face. Okay, so when I was filming my video, the battery died, so I was so frustrated, I saved it for another day. So anybody that notices, my nail polish is different. So I had lost the end of it, so I'm just going to show you how to finish putting the rest of the envelope back together. So I had put the ribbon on the end, and then I just want to put ahead and put adhesive on the back of here, and then just sort of line it up with the back. Make sure it's lined up nice and good. Then I put some adhesive down on the sides. Folded the two flaps in on the sides there. And then you just fold up your bottom. And there you go. You have the little matching envelope that goes with this one. This is the envelope that goes with the other one that I had done, which is very pretty. The little sort of rustic looking ribbon there. And then this one has a little bit of a shimmer to it, and it should fit right inside. Down like that. There you go. You just want to make sure you use a pretty good strong adhesive or a glue, because sometimes when these are a little thicker, it's kind of hard to see. You can see the envelope is just a little bit thicker because of the flower. Sometimes this particular glue I have found comes loose. So you just want to make sure that, especially if you're going to mail this, and then you'll have to use a good adhesive across the top to get it to stick down. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my page. And again, if there's anything else specific that you guys would like to see, just let me know in the comments below. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye now.